let's be real, there are few scenes more idyllic than that of Australia's coastal living. You know, the early risers waiting for the next wave and kick-flipping kids rolling down promenades, and inevitably, a row of shops that go alongside the lifestyle. Yeah, surf and skate culture is a part of our national identity as Australians, whether you're the point break type or not. My name's Adam Badawi, and I'm a writer for GQ Australia. I've always been interested in style, especially the big ticket names I grew up looking at in the pages of GQ. But I'm also interested in the rise of Aussie design and where it comes from, because even though we might not be the most fashion forward of nations, we do have something pretty unique about us.
To some degree, surf is also it's part of Australian culture.
Just pretty fresh. Just hashtag menswear.
I think it's the attitude which makes the fashion, not necessarily the fashion, you know.
Although surfing started with the ancient Polynesians, it was a spike in popularity and the modernisation of the board in the 50s and 60s that saw it begin to flourish. And like every new craze, a style culture grew up around it. Brands like Rip Curl, Billabong, Hot Tuna, Globe and Quicksilver quickly established themselves as mainstay surf brands in the 70s and 80s. Now it's younger brands taking up the mantle. They're ensuring homegrown labels continue to reshape surf and skate culture, from the high street to the skate park to the water. One man who grew up during that time is Sam Coombs. Having worked at surf brand Mambo in its heyday, he's now the co-founder of the Critical Slide Society, a label born out of a blog and a love of the sea.
It was all about brands. The brands that I was into, Mambo, Billabongs, a little bit of Quickie, and then you'd have some American brands, so things like Vision Streetwear as well was massive, and then you had your specific heroes that, Tom Carroll, and that was what I grew up with, and that's what all the kids wore, and surf as a whole has just become, it's big business. Surf is also it's part of Australian culture, and it's part of what Australians wear. That's what you wear to the beach, and it's what I wear.
Down to the shops.
And it's a celebration of really about being in the water as opposed to sort of being a super competitive surfer. Because at the end of the day, 99.999% of surfers in the water, they're not there to actually compete. They're out there to just enjoy being on a wave and hopefully just having fun.
Sam's emphasis on gathering together a group of like-minded people extends to collaborative projects, including records, tees, fins and artwork. This is helping to reshape affordable high street surf style, bringing the culture back to its founding ideals.
Board shorts are probably what we're best known for. So we actually won Best Board Short 2 years running, but And this is working in collaboration with our shapers. So this is Thomas Surfboards fin that we've sort of co-designed with him. So Thomas is out of Noosa in Queensland. And then this is one of our team riders by Ellis Flint. And even small little tweaks, like he's put this little cut in through here to actually give you a little bit more flex.
Right. Would you say that maybe surfing has moved away from being a counterculture, is now more of a storytelling and collaboration culture, especially touching on those fins? And
yeah, I think it's definitely about bringing together a community of like-minded sort of individuals, and to some degree that was even part of the naming of the company, the Critical Slide Society. So it was actually about becoming a society, it's a group of people that are kind of hopefully into kind of similar sort of stuff.
Yeah. Surf and skate culture is redefining modern Australian fashion. It's relaxed, it's functional, and it represents a coastal lifestyle. It's not stuffy like tailoring or flashy like luxury. So it makes sense that Sam & Co.'s functional tees and colourful boardies are a hit. But as high fashion continues to soften around the edges, surf and skate culture has become an entry point for a youthful sensibility. It's something Melbourne-based designer Lucas Vincent and his label X Infinitas has successfully exported.
I was a kid that grew up on the peninsula, so I was always wearing Rip Curl or Mambo. I used to love the dog, humping the legs, and the pissing dog, the farting dog.
Oh, you were nothing if you didn't have those bodies.
Exactly. So for me, the earliest memories of fashion was definitely surf culture specifically, and I guess that's why when I decided to start my own brand, that was the only, I guess, honest and authentic way I felt I could operate by.
Right. So that's your way of kind of translating the surf culture you grew up with into something a bit more sophisticated.
Exactly, because I do like to take the kind of mundane, very everyday aspects of Australian culture and then elevate it in some way.
Rosebud to Paris.
Rosebud to Paris, exactly. This is one of the things that I created for the International Walmart Prize recently. I guess a long line coat, very minimal details, so it almost gives the appearance of a robe. Tells with like the skater belt on the back here. So, and then even things like this pants, which is I guess one of the more signature pants that I do with the board short detailing that you might see on a pair of 60s board shorts and the crisscross front here with the the logo on the end. Again, just subtle details, I guess, that allude to surf and maybe what you would find in a surf shop.
Lucas is creating a teen loungeabout look that he's called the suburban surf dandy. Think weed-smoking boys in woolen singlets, oversized coats and jaunty woolen hats, wide-leg denim pants and post-surf orange robes.
I really quite obsessed with the idea of, okay, what are these young guys doing when they're not surfing or skating? So they're sitting around at home, smoking a joint, eating pizza in their robe and their slippers and really not giving two Fs about life. So
I think we should finish this interview in orange coats. I think we should go back to the couch.
It's a new season variation of that fabric, so it's taking it to
it's like a hoodie coat that is sweet.
Well, this is actually like at the beach where the surfers wear the ponchos and they get changed underneath, with their wetsuit. So this is really just that with a sleeve and a hood and made into more like a throwover.
Even with Lucas's more high fashion approach to surfwear and Sam's critical slide society approach to high street, there are brands like 10 Pieces that kind of sit somewhere in the middle, affordable, relaxed, but still unique and modern. It's helmed by Maurice Terzini, so naturally, we grabbed a beer at Bondi's iconic Icebergs to talk muses.
Well, I think more than surf culture itself, I think it's more than just more the laid-back attitude of the beach.
Right.
I think that's a big influence on us. Sports is a big influence on us. Things such as parkour. That's where we started our inspiration, and then we sort of adapted that to our attitude. I was a bit sick of sort of having outfits for the beach and then for dinner, and we wanted something that you could actually wear wherever you were going, and it was more an attitude and a lifestyle in the way you sort of wore it, and you could adapt. Being able to create a complete look and actually wear almost the 10 pieces or wear only 2 of the pieces and be able to, wear them out to dinner or to go to a club or to down the beach. We did a collaboration with Fitbit last year for our second show at Fashion Week. This year we're talking to a few different people, we're talking to people like Brett Chan, which comes from, obviously a skating world. So we'd like to bring it a little bit more back to Bondi and make it a little bit raw. I don't really look at fashion or what's actually happening out there. But in saying that, I think that, with each generation, I think that there's just a development either in a particular taste or, a particular style. I think that the quality of product available out there on the shelves is obviously much better than what it was 20 years ago. Right. It's just part of our community, quite like it. My little boy's great, like he's 3 and he's spent, his first 3 years here in Bondi. So I think there'll be memories that we'll remember forever and will shape us and hopefully continue to affect the way we approach clothes.
Surfing and skating have always had countercultural roots, which is perhaps why brands like Billabong and Quiksilver lost their way. They became normal. But brands like 10 Pieces and Ex Infinitas are tapping back into that angst, a non-traditionalist approach to living. That's what's always been at the core of surf culture, right? Freedom, creativity, flair, diversity. So it makes sense that the clothing that makes up this subculture is just as diverse as the people that drop into a skate bowl and ride waves across the country.